Everyone to this evening's special presentation about Krishna's divine qualities. And we welcome everyone who's joined us online. Thank you very much for tuning in here at ISV, where we're broadcasting live. And over the last couple of nights, by conference call, we've had sessions in which I've read from the Nectar of Devotion in a particular section which talks about Krishna's qualities. And afterwards, we had reflections, those qualities that the devotees particularly remembered when they heard the sections we were reading, when they heard from this section about Krishna's qualities. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue with this section tonight in great anticipation of reaching the four qualities of Krishna that Srila Rupa Goswami mentions are unique. No one else, including Lord Narayan, has these four qualities that Krishna has. And then I'll read a little bit from the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which some of Krishna's qualities are delineated as well. How is everybody? We're also being treated to a little bit of Vipralamba Bhav. The deities aren't open because we're having construction done just before Janmashtami. For those of you who are at home watching, you might notice that the deity doors aren't open. Of course, maybe we did some trickery with the broadcast, so it looks like they're open, but we're putting in specially custom-made gates, and the temple, I think, had to be painted beforehand. Was it painted today? Or nothing was done today? Were the walls painted today? Partly painted. When there's construction going on, you see there's papers on the taped to the floor and things like that. So we can't see the deities just now because of the construction and so forth. So that gives us even more feeling of anticipation leading up to Janmashtami. Continuing from the Nectar of Instruction, I left off at number 53. In Krishna's divine qualities. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Haribo. Number 53, Krishna's qualities ever fresh. Krishna is always remembered and his name is always chanted by millions of devotees. But the devotees never become saturated. Instead of becoming disinterested in thinking of Krishna and in chanting his holy names, the devotees instead of becoming disinterested in thinking of Krishna and in chanting his holy names, the devotees get newer and newer impetus to continue the process. Therefore, Krishna is ever fresh. Not only Krishna himself, but also Krishna's knowledge is ever fresh. Bhagavad Gita, which was imparted 5,000 years ago, is still being read repeatedly by many, many men, and still new light is always being found in it. Therefore, Krishna and his name, fame, qualities, and everything in relationship with him is ever fresh. All the queens at Dwarka were goddesses of fortune. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 11th chapter, verse 33, that the goddesses of fortune are very fickle and restless. So no one can consistently captivate them. Thus one's luck will always change sometime. Yet the goddesses of fortune could not leave Krishna for even a moment when they were residing with him at Dwarka. This means that Krishna's attraction is ever fresh. Even the goddesses of fortune cannot leave his company. Regarding Krishna's attractive features being ever fresh, there's a statement by Radharani in the Lalita Madhava, in which Krishna is compared to the greatest sculptor because he is expert in chiseling at the chastity of women. In other words, although chaste women may follow the rules and regulations of Vedic principles to become ever faithful to their husbands, Krishna is able to break their stone-like chastity with the chisel of his beauty. Most of the girlfriends of Krishna were married, but because Krishna was their friend before their marriages, they could not forget his attractive features, which were always fascinating to them, even after their marriages. And of course, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami points out that actually all living entities are the energies of Krishna, and in that sense, they're female. That is, they're already the wives of Krishna. It's not that there's some immorality and that Krishna's taking somebody else's wife, because actually Krishna is the proprietor of everything and all living entities. All living entities are subordinate to him. And when distracted by, or when covered by the material energy, then people think, I am male or female, or I am this body, whatever manifestation it may take. But when one comes to the stage of purification, one understands, Jiv Krishna Das, I am a servant of Krishna, subordinate to Krishna. 54, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Krishna's transcendental body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Sat means ever existing for all time and in all places. In other words, all pervading in time and space. Chit means full of knowledge. Krishna has nothing to learn from anyone. He is independently full of all knowledge. Ananda means the reservoir of all pleasure. The impersonalists are seeking to merge into the Brahman effulgence of eternity and knowledge. But the major portion of the absolute pleasure which is in Krishna is avoided by them. One can enjoy the transcendental blissfulness of merging into the Brahman effulgence after being freed from the contamination of material illusion, false identification, attachment, detachment, and material absorption. These are the preliminary qualifications of a person who can realize Brahman. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that one has to become full of joyfulness. This is not exactly joyfulness, but a sense of freedom from all anxieties. Freedom from all anxieties may be the first principle of joyfulness, but it is not actual joyfulness. Those who realize the self or become Brahmabhuta are only preparing themselves for the platform of joyfulness. That joyfulness can be actually achieved only when one comes in contact with Krishna. Krishna consciousness is so complete that it includes the transcendental pleasure derived from impersonal or Brahman realization. Even the impersonalist who, Even the impersonalist will become attracted to the personal form of Krishna, known as Shyamasundar. It is confirmed by the statement of Brahma Samhita that the Brahman effulgence is the bodily ray of Krishna. The Brahman effulgence is simply an exhibition of the energy of Krishna. Krishna is the source of the Brahman effulgence, as he himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita. From this we can conclude that the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth is not the ultimate end. Krishna is the ultimate end of the Absolute Truth. The members of the Vaishnava schools therefore never try to merge into the Brahman effulgence in their pursuit of spiritual perfection. They accept Krishna as the ultimate goal of self-realization. Therefore, Krishna is called Param Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, or Parameshwar, the Supreme Controller. What's he known as? And what else? Param Brahman and Parameshwar. Sri Jamunacharya has prayed as follows: My dear Lord, I know that the gigantic universe and gigantic space and time within the universe are covered by the 10 layers of material elements, each layer 10 times larger than the previous one. The 3 material modes of nature, the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, the Kshirodakshai Vishnu, the Mahavishnu, and beyond them the spiritual sky and its spiritual planets, known as Vaikunthas, and the Brahman effulgence in that spiritual sky. All of these taken together are nothing but a small exhibition of your potency. So in this section, which we can talk about a little bit, Satchidananda Vigraha, this Krishna is the source of all happiness. He has a form which is Sat Chit Ananda. It has eternity, knowledge, and bliss within the form. And it's made up of that. And also Ananda. She's the reservoir of pleasure. So Prabhupada mentions about impersonalists that want to merge into the Brahman effulgence. But then he says the major portion of the Krishna's pleasure potency they avoid because of that. So Krishna is the source of the Brahman effulgence. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritat yavayasya cha shashvachasya chadharmasya sukasya kantikasya cha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he's the source of the impersonal Brahman. And Prabhupada also quotes from the Brahma Samhita, Yasya Prabha Prabhapato Jagadanda Koti Koti Shasheshu Vasudari Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahma Nishkalamananta Mashesha Bhutam Govindam Aripurusham Tamaham Bhajami. That the Brahman effulgence, like the shining of the sun, just as the sun's appearance makes all the plants and life, everything becomes animated by the sun. You can notice this at the end of winter. When the sun starts coming back even a little bit, everything starts to revive. So Prabhupada gives a similar explanation of the Brahman effulgence. Krishna's effulgence is what's maintaining and keeping alive everyone in the material universe. It's all pervading, his Brahman effulgence. But this is only the third aspect of the Lord. Vedanti tattvavidas tattvam yaj jnanamadvayam prameti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. The Supreme Absolute Truth is known in 3 features as Brahman, Paramatma, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And although they are one and the same, they're different at the same time. So that's compared to the sun and the sun rays. But the heart of everything is the personality of Godhead, Krishna. He's the origin, his personality. And in coming to the level of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one may first come to this Brahma-bhuta platform, which Prabhupada mentions from the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma-bhuta prasanatma nashochati nakangshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. So there Krishna mentions that this platform of being completely spiritual is there's a way in which one becomes liberated from the material concept of life and realizes Brahmabhuta, the platform of one's being eternal and part of the higher energy. And in that state, one becomes happy, prasannatma. And that, Prabhupada says, is more or less a relief from the burden of material existence. Because we're being oppressed by our own debt. When you get into debt, there's a way in which you feel oppressed all the time, don't you? Of course, none of you have probably ever been in debt before. So maybe if you went to school, because there's student loans. In debt means karma is just like debt. Karmic debt we have to pay is a great burden. And when one becomes freed from the bodily conception of life and beyond the reach of this karma, Brahmabhuta prasannatma, there's a joyfulness that comes about. Nashochati nakangshati, it's symptomized by no hankering, no lamentation. No more vested interest in the material world, therefore there's nothing to hanker for. There's great relief. I don't want anything here. As soon as I want something here in the material world, then I suffer. Because there's nothing that I can actually hold on to. Nothing that's actually I can keep as my own possession. So when one becomes identified with Brahman, the shochati and akangshati, there's no hankering and there's no lamentation, because one realizes there's nothing to lose also. I don't die. And I don't have any, there's no loss for me at any time. Shochatina kangshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu, and sees the equality of all living beings. There's no more friends and enemies, which is another kind of suffering in the material world. This person is my friend, this person is my enemy. Samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So Krishna says, from this position one can enter into devotional service. Mad bhaktim labate param, from the spiritual position of Brahmabhuta. And what is that? It is the progressive path of developing love for Krishna. This is also explained by the Acharya Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Prabhupada gives the complete summary of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and the Nectar of Devotion, in which there are various stages of practice in devotional service. And Rupa Goswami identifies different levels of happiness. He said, material happiness isn't happiness at all. It seems like it should be, but it's not. It's actually suffering. Naishkarmyam apyachuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alam niranjitham. There's this statement by Narada Muni in the 5th chapter of the 1st canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that the materialists are simply deluded, thinking they're getting some happiness. It's the throwaway, the throwaway low-dig energy that actually intelligent people don't involve themselves with. But the spiritualists who have come to the point of naishkarmyam, they're not engaging in karma anymore. Naishkamya apyachuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alam niranjanam. Says, Narada Muni says, but then there's the spiritualists who have given up the material energy altogether, but still they haven't come to the position of achuta bhava. They haven't attained emotion, an emotional attachment to the personality of Godhead. And therefore he says, nashobhate jnanam alam niranjanam. Even though they have knowledge, detachment, they have the spiritual platform and so forth, it doesn't look very good, because it's devoid of that connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Rupa Goswami says material happiness is no happiness at all, it's only suffering. And above that is the happiness of identifying oneself as Brahman, which is millions of times greater happiness than material happiness. But that Brahman happiness, he says, which seems to be unlimited and inestimable, is like the water contained with the hoofprint of a calf compared to the ocean. When comparing the Brahman happiness to the happiness of bhava for achyuta, or developing love for Krishna, then that happiness of Brahman shrinks down to the size of the hoofprint of a calf compared to a great ocean. That's how great the happiness is of devotional service. And there's a way in which the devotees attain this happiness by coming in contact with the Lord's internal potency, Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti means there's a combination of the Lord's Samvit and Hladini Shakti. Samvit means that Krishna invests its spiritual energy in which one can become aware of one's spiritual nature and of Krishna. How does that awareness come about? By mercy. It's manifested through the Samvit Shakti. And the Hladini Shakti, which is Krishna's internal potency, avails the living entity to this unlimited reservoir of bliss, of complete happiness. And when there's an ingress of this kind of this Swarup Shakti, comprised of Samvit and Hladini Shakti, then the Srimad Bhagavatam, rather the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and also mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, same verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this verse, says that it's like a sun ray coming into the heart of the bhakti practitioner. And that sun ray melts the heart, and the heart becomes very soft. And in that state, the devotee can begin to experience real emotion or bhava for Krishna. And that is the preliminary stage, bhava, for love for God. And there are various stages. And of course, Rupa Goswami explains how one can attain this kind of perfection, or beginning stage of perfection, by practice, by the mercy of Krishna, or by the mercy of a devotee. Various ways that it comes, but mostly by practice. Getting specifically, of course it all comes from the mercy of Krishna and the devotees, but one also has to work for it. Prabhupada says that expecting it to come without any practice is like somebody thinking that they'll get an honorary PhD without going to school. But in any case, in the topic of happiness, the real happiness of the living entity is scientifically described as this reawakening of relationship, which begins with bhava. Starts with the practice of sadhana bhakti, or devotional service in practice, in order to reach this goal. The goal of the practice that we're doing is to come to the stage of bhava, or the heart becoming melted, and then the preliminary stages of one's relationship with Krishna are revealed, apparently through one's mind, but is a product of the descent of the internal potency of Krishna. One begins to experience an inclination towards worshiping Krishna in a certain way, hearing about Krishna in a certain way, and this apparently is the devotee's own idea. In other words, I want to worship Krishna like this, but actually it's Krishna's desire that the devotee worship Krishna in a particular way, and that desire manifests through the internal potency, through the devotee's mind and heart. Because ultimately it's for Krishna's pleasure that we're rendering service. So in describing these stages of spiritual realization, Rupa Goswami says that this greatest happiness comes from the practice of devotional service and attaining these stages of bhava, and then beyond bhava there's this prema. And Krishna is the source of that. So, Sakchidananda Vigraha. This section, again, Krishna's transcendental body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Sat means ever existing for all time and in all places. In other words, all pervading in all time and space. Chit means full of knowledge. Krishna has nothing to do or learn from anyone. He is independently full of all knowledge. Ananda means the reservoir of all pleasure. I remember when I first started distributing books in San Francisco, I was going to Market and Powell, and we had the book called Reservoir of Pleasure. One day I was distributing, and I was talking to this young man, and he was with his girlfriend, and I was showing people the Reservoir of Pleasure. I said, "Here, take the Reservoir of Pleasure." And he said, "I already have the Reservoir of Pleasure." And he pointed to his girlfriend. And I thought, that won't last as a reservoir of pleasure. But that's actually what people think here in the material world, that I've actually got it. But it's forever elusive. But the connection with Krishna is forever encouraging, and even a slight connection becomes the source of the greatest pleasure. Ananda means the reservoir of pleasure. The impersonalists are seeking to merge into the Brahman effulgence of eternity and knowledge. But the major portion of the absolute pleasure which is in Krishna is avoided by them. One can enjoy the transcendental blissfulness of merging into the Brahman effulgence after being freed from the contamination of material illusion, false identification, attachment, detachment, and material absorption. These are the preliminary qualifications of a person who can realize Brahman. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who has become full of joyfulness, this is not exact, it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one has to become full of joyfulness. This is not exactly joyfulness, but a sense of freedom from all anxieties. Freedom from all anxieties may be the first principle of joyfulness, but it is not actual joyfulness. Those who realize the self or become Brahma Bhuta are only preparing themselves for the platform of joyfulness. Those who realize the self or become Brahma Bhuta are only preparing themselves for the platform of joyfulness. That joyfulness can be actually achieved only when one comes in contact with Krishna. Krishna consciousness is so complete that it includes the transcendental pleasure derived from impersonal or Brahman realization. Even the impersonalist will become attracted to the personal form of Krishna, known as Shyamasundar. It is confirmed by the statement of Brahma Samhita that the Brahman effulgence is the bodily ray of Krishna. The Brahman effulgence is simply an exhibition of the energy of Krishna. Krishna is the source of the Brahman effulgence, as he himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita. From this we can conclude that the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth is not the ultimate end. Krishna is the ultimate end of the Absolute Truth. The members of the Vaishnava schools therefore never try to merge into the Brahman effulgence in their pursuit of spiritual perfection. They accept Krishna as the ultimate goal of self-realization. Therefore, Krishna is called Param Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, or Parameshwar, the Supreme Controller. Sri Yamunacharya has prayed as follows: "My dear Lord, I know that the gigantic universe and gigantic space and time within the universe are covered by the 10 layers of material elements, each layer 10 times larger than the previous one. The 3 material modes of nature, the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, the Mahavishnu, and beyond them the spiritual sky and its spiritual planets, known as the Vaikunthas, and the Brahman effulgence in that spiritual sky. All of these taken together are nothing but a small exhibition of your potency." Welcome. Thanks for coming. So what did you all hear so far? Any points that stuck in your mind? Yeah.
So Maharaj, I had a question. Can I ask it?
Question.
Yeah. So you were talking about when a devotee wants to worship Krishna in a particular way, it's actually Krishna's will that is manifesting, and he thinks that I am thinking like that. So, so how do we explain that from the reference of free will of a devotee? And in parallel, I just wanted to also share with you that just today afternoon when I was doing the Gayatris, I mean every day, 3 times a day, I struggle because the mind goes here and there. So today I was trying to convince my mind that, this is the best gift that you've got. You, like from your spiritual master, like people have given me jewelry, food, chocolate and all that, but who gives you a mantra as a gift? So despite even all that, the mind was gone like that. And then I realized that I can sit and I can think that I will do it and convince and use logics and things like that, but I should really pray to the Lord that I should be able to recite the Gayatris properly and with concentration. So is it that at a certain point in time the devotee says, I don't want to have a free will, you come and take control, and that's when this thing happens, that
This
Krishna's
thing means?
the Krishna's will gets the internal potency comes and makes you.
It's described as sort of a simultaneous Krishna extending himself, and the devotee has an intense desire to serve Krishna in a certain way. And the two meet together. And as far as the mind not being able to accept the greatest gift is a product of the kind of conditioning that comes about by contact with the material energy. Over a long period of time, the mind becomes indifferent to the qualities of Krishna and to the spiritual prospect and so forth. And it's described by all the great sages that it requires repeated engagement of the mind for that taste to come. Just like Rupa Goswami says, that when you have the disease of jaundice, Set Krishna nama charitari sitapta vidyapito patapta rasanasya naruchikanu kintvavarad anudilam kala saiva justa swadvikramad bhavati tad galamulahantri. So he gives this beautiful metaphor, which is that when you have jaundice, you taste everything as bitter, even if it's sweet. And it just so happens that one of the curatives for jaundice is sugarcane juice. So the doctor may say, drink a lot of sugarcane juice. But when you have jaundice, sugarcane juice tastes terrible. But because the doctor has said, take it, and because you understand sugarcane juice should taste sweet, you continue taking it. And as the disease begins to subside, then you taste the sweetness of the juice, and you can tell that your health is coming back. So in a similar way, he says, in the beginning, the tongue and the other senses are not accustomed to tasting the sweetness of the mantra. It tastes bitter, in fact. It'd rather say something else. There's all kinds of stupid songs that are still there. That the song, the ear wants to hear. Prahlad Maharaj says this. He said, when Lord Nishingadev appeared, Prahlad was praying to him as a little boy and said, so what do I do? My senses, my ears want to hear songs off the cinema, and there's eyes want to go to scenes of sense gratification. And in every way, each one of the senses is pulled in a different direction, which is very disconcerting. But there is a platform at which one begins to experience the real taste of chanting the holy names. And actually, there may be, even before one reaches that stage completely, has even earned it, there may be a taste that comes by Krishna's mercy, as we say, to get a free sample before one actually reaches that platform. That was exhibited in the pastime of Narada Muni, when he was just a little boy and he left home after getting the mercy of the great Bhaktivedantas. He was practicing some meditations and mantras and things. And then he had an experience which all of his senses tasted the unlimited happiness of serving Krishna when he was doing his meditation. And then he lost it suddenly. And then he tried to mechanically get it back again. So I got it once, I can get it again. And then Krishna spoke to him in an unembodied voice and said that you're not a perfect yogi yet, so you'll have to become perfect. You have to keep trying. Anyway, you've heard these things many, many times, but they bear repeating because in the practice, there's a way in which the mind keeps coming back to the same point. And it's like, why should I do this? Why not do something else? And in the right conditions and over over a period of time, one can be successful. It's the whole point of the practice, is to come to that successful position of actual taste for the holy name and the Gayatri mantras and so forth. It helps to practice with intensity, with concentration, and over a long period of time. Also, it helps to get advanced association, because as the Nectar Devotion, or Bhakti Rasamrita Rupa Goswami describes how those who already have taste and are practicing devotional service at a very high level will, their hearts are like the moon. The moon puts out rays, and you can pick up some of that happiness that actually comes from their heart, and in association you can feel some advancement from the association of these devotees who are on a high level. Any other reflections, things that you heard? Welcome everybody, thanks for coming tonight. Hare Krishna. Yes?
Dandos Maharaj. Could you give some suggestion on, particularly when the taste is not there at my stage, how I can keep going at it, particularly because whatever books we read, everything, there is, like you said, there is lot of repetition, and intentionally so that it gets ingrained in me. But the mind kind of rebels, saying that, oh, there it is again, the same thing again. It is so. Mind has the tendency to look for something new. So how I can silence my mind, saying that it's not the new things which will help me, but understanding the same basics. Really, I think I know it, but I really don't. Right. So I hope I was able to articulate the question. Can you?
Well, in that kind of hearing, one thing that's very important is to perform really good japa every day. Because in the experience of japa, of chanting really sincerely and with great attention and trying to reach out to Krishna and pray when you're chanting, then the mind becomes clear to a lot of the obstacles that keep one thinking that, oh, this is ordinary, I've heard this before, and so forth. If there's even a slight taste from chanting japa, then when you start to read the Bhagavad Gita, for instance, then dehinosmin yata dehe, even if you read it on every page, it has deeper and deeper meaning. It's a matter of realization. And also, hearing in the association of advanced devotees is very helpful. That's always the most helpful, is the association of advanced devotees, hearing such topics, because it takes on a special quality. Of course, anything you do, any discipline you have, if you're in association with those who are more enthusiastic than you can pick up the pace. It's like sometimes people go to a gym or something like that, and they're feeling lethargic. But when they get in there, they see somebody twice as enthusiastic, and I should put in a little more energy myself. But there is a certain quality. When devotees around us have a taste, we tend to also begin to pick up on that taste. But in the beginning, of course, as one goes on performing devotional service, counting how much you do, this is important numerical strength. In chanting, we keep a certain number of rounds every day. Don't go below that. Because the mind may one day be attracted and then another day not attracted, and say, I'll only chant when I feel like it. But the process of Vaidhi is to chant when you feel like it or you don't feel like it. And pretty soon you'll always feel like it. And the same thing with reading. If you go through in a methodical way and complete the number of pages that you're reading every day, actually, after some time, it begins to have a profound effect, the hearing. Reflections anymore? Yes.
Prabhuji, I like the point of karma. You compared karma with like having a debt. Mm-hmm. So I like that point. So
Yeah, and we move in this world. When we have a debt, we have to move, right? You got to keep moving. Am I correct on that? Because you got to go work, right? That's why we move in this world out of debt. Just consider if people that don't have to move to pay off their debt are people who have a lot of power, they're wealthy. For instance, people very wealthy, then they can take time for a vacation and just say, I'm not moving for money, I'm just doing what I want. In the spiritual sense, this is called Leela. Krishna doesn't have to work, and everything he does is for the sake of play. And those who are spiritually advanced, who are detached from the material world, that music is confirmation. Their only duty is to, and their only movement is really in service of Krishna. So it's a different kind of movement. Yeah, thank you. And the text.
This is Bhakta Raphael.
Bhakta Raphael. How fortunate.
Hare Krishna, please accept my heartful obeisances and humble dandavats. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to my dear Gurudev. When you put your heart, your love and dedication, Lord Krishna will guide you and protect your service, because he knows what you think, what you want, and how you do things.
Very nice. Prashad, or something. Can you read it one more time?
Hare Krishna, please accept my heartful obeisances and humble dandavats. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to my dear Gurudev. When you put your heart, your love and dedication, Lord Krishna will guide you and protect your service, because he knows what you think, what you want, and how you do things.
Nice. Thank you, Bhakta Raphael. So how is everybody so far in this life? Pretty good, right? Everyone okay? All right, so I'm going to read a couple more qualities. 55, possessing all mystic perfections. There are many standards of perfection. The highest material perfections obtained by perfect yogis are listed as 8. To become the smallest of the small, to become the greatest of the great, etc. All of these material perfections, as well as all spiritual perfections, can be found fully in Krishna's personality. 56, Krishna's inconceivable potencies. Krishna is present everywhere, not only within the universe, not only within the hearts of all living entities, but also within every atom. In the prayers of Queen Kunti, we find mention of this inconceivable potency of Krishna. While Krishna was talking with Kunti, he simultaneously entered the womb of Uttara, who was in danger due to the atomic weapon of Ashvatthama. Krishna can illusion even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and he can protect all surrendered devotees from the reactions of sinful activities. These are some of the examples of his inconceivable potencies. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore offers his obeisances unto Krishna by saying, Krishna, who is present as a human being, has as his mere shadow the whole material nature. He has expanded himself into so many cows, calves, and cowherd boys, and he has again manifested himself in all of them as the four-handed Narayan. He has taught millions of Brahmas self-realization, and thus he is worshipable not only by the heads of all universes, but by everyone else also. Therefore, let me always accept him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Indra was defeated by Krishna in the matter of taking the Parijata plant from heaven, Narada met Indra and criticized him. O Indra, great king of heaven, Krishna has already defeated Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So what can be said of an insignificant demigod like you? Narada Muni, of course, was criticizing Indra jokingly, and Indra enjoyed it. In Narada's statement, it is confirmed that Krishna was able to illusion even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as well as Indra. So there is no question of Krishna's power to do the same to lesser living entities. A description of Krishna's power in minimizing the sufferings of sinful reactions is given in Brahma Samhita as follows. Beginning from the great king of heaven down to the ant, everyone is undergoing the reactions of past deeds. But a devotee of Krishna is relieved from such reactions by the grace of Krishna. This was clearly proved when Krishna went to the place of Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, to reclaim the dead son of his teacher. Krishna's teacher had requested Krishna to bring back his dead son, and to do so, Krishna went to the place of Yamaraj to claim that soul, who had been brought there by Yamaraj and was being kept under his control. Krishna immediately ordered Yamaraj, "Be benefited by my order and return that soul unto me." The purport of this incident is that even a person who is under the regulative principles of the laws of nature is therefore punishable by Yamaraj under these laws, can be granted complete immunity by the grace of Krishna. Krishna's inconceivable potencies have been described by Shukadeva Goswami as follows. Krishna is bewildering my intelligence because although he is unborn, he has appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is all-pervading, but still he is held on the lap of Yashoda. In spite of his being all-pervasive, he has become limited by the love of Yashoda. Although he has innumerable forms, still he is moving as one Krishna before his father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. In the Brahma Samhita also it is said that although Krishna is eternally living in Goloka Vrindavan, his transcendental abode, he is still present everywhere, even within the atoms. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma suchaha. That you just abandon all kinds of religious performances and surrender to me, and I'll deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear, do not worry, do not hesitate. Ma shuchaha. Everyone say ma shuchaha. Yeah, ma shuchaha. Krishna says don't worry about it. Just surrender here. And if someone comes in here tonight and offers you, so maybe they set up a table out there, and then they say, you line up here, I'll take care of all your affairs, you don't worry about anything. You line up? But you might have some doubt. Well, who is this guy and what's his angle? What does he want from me? and actually, can he handle my affairs? You might think maybe he wants something in return, or what's the catch, or something like that. Or you might think maybe he's crazy or something like that. But when Krishna says, I'll handle all your affairs, you just surrender unto me. There's quite a excitement in the heart that, well, Krishna can actually do that. This is one of his qualities, that he's all-powerful. He can handle the affairs of all living entities. And Prabhupada's indicated the verse from the Sri Brahma Samhita, in which says, Yes twindra gopa matavendra mahosa karma bandhanu rupa palabhajanam atanoti karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Which means from Indra, king of heaven, down to the Indra Gopa germ, tiny little insect mentioned in the Vedas. Thousands of years ago they had knowledge of microbiology. They knew about these tiny little insects and little germs and so forth. He said each one of them is receiving the results of karma and is being forced to work in certain ways. He said, but those who are engaged in devotional service are being relieved of that karma because of Krishna's power. Krishna is divesting them of that karmic reaction. So Krishna is all-powerful, and as one all-powerful, that's pretty powerful. That means he can do anything at any time. He can go against the laws of nature. And as we heard earlier, he can extricate one from the material world at any time Just like in the United States, there's a system that when a president is leaving office, he or she gets the opportunity, well, it hasn't been a she yet, but the president gets an opportunity to pardon anyone who's in prison. Anyone's been incarcerated for any reason. And doesn't matter, whatever it was, the prisoner can put in for a pardon, presidential pardon. So they fill out the paperwork. I'm sure a lot of them do it, just to give it a shot. But the president will go through all these lists of requests for pardons. And all he has to do is sign off on the ones that he wants. And as soon as the president signs, then they have to release the prisoner. Sometimes people don't agree with the choices. When Clinton went out of office, he pardoned a few people, and everyone said, "Why do you do that?" But it doesn't matter what you say. He has the power to do that. He can take you out of prison at any time. He's above even the warden, and he has absolute control over that. It's built into the system, into the Constitution. So Krishna has that kind of absolute power also to extricate any living entity at any time. So, Mashuchaha, Krishna says, don't worry, just surrender to me. It's a good program to sign up for. You can fill out the sheet. I surrender to Krishna and I quit the material world. Good, right? Okay, number 57, Krishna's body generates innumerable universes. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, "My dear Lord, false ego, intelligence, mind, sky, air, fire, water, and earth are the material ingredients of this universe, which can be compared to a gigantic pot. In that gigantic pot, my body is of insignificant measurement. And even though one of the many universes created by me, innumerable universes are coming and going from the pores of your body, just as atomic particles are seen flickering in the sunlight. I think I am very, very insignificant before you, and I am therefore begging your pardon. Please be merciful toward me. If one takes account of only one universe, he will find so many combinations of wonderful things within, because there are innumerable planets, innumerable residences and places of demigods. The diameter of the universe is 4 billion miles, and it is infested with many unfathomable regions known as patalas, or lower planetary systems. Although Krishna is the origin of all this, he can always be seen in Vrindavan, exhibiting his inconceivable potencies. So who can adequately worship such an all-powerful Lord, possessed of such inconceivable energy? Yeah, this description is given also in the Brahma Samhita of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in his forms as Mahavishnu, gigantic forms, inconceivably large, when he exhales, the many universes emanate from his pores. The Mahavishnu. You've all seen pictures of Mahavishnu. When he exhales, all the universes emanate from his pores. Did you learn that in university? Did they teach that in some class? The transcendental knowledge coming from the Vedas is quite remarkable. But Krishna's unlimitedly remarkable. So from the pores of his skin come these universes, and then in each one of the universes he also has a gigantic form as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Garbhodakshaya, from perspiration from his body, fills up half the universe. He lies on the Garbhodak ocean within the universe, which is described as a closed system. The Vedas describe how there are layers of covering over each universe, which is illuminated, self-illuminated within. And then from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Krishna expands again as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And he enters into the hearts of all living entities, and also within all the different particles of the universe. He's all pervading in his personal form. And this is the Mahavishnu who is Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita is simply a small spark of his splendor. In the 10th chapter of the Gita, Krishna describes how he's all the different opulences that you see in this world. They're all simply coming from him. Then he says, and all this being manifested simply comes from a spark of my splendor, meaning the Mahavishnu is just a small plenary portion of Krishna, who's all powerful. 58, the original source of all incarnations. Jayadev Goswami in his Gita Govinda has sung as follows. The Lord has saved the Vedas in his form as a fish, and he has borne the whole universe on his back in the form of a tortoise. He has picked up this earthly planet from the water in the form of a boar. He has killed Hiranyakashipu in the form of Nrsimha. He has cheated Maharaj Bali in the form of Vamana. He has annihilated all the dynasties of the Kshatriyas in the form of Parusharam. He has killed all the demons in the form of Lord Ram. He has accepted the great plow in the form of Balaram. He has annihilated all the atheistic persons in the form of Kalki, and he has saved all the poor animals in the form of Lord Buddha. These are some of the descriptions of the incarnations emanating from Krishna, and from Srimad Bhagavatam it is understood that innumerable incarnations are always coming out of the body of Krishna, just like waves in the ocean. No one can even count how many waves there are, and similarly no one can count how many incarnations are coming from the Lord's body. Now we'll sing the Dashavastara Stotram. Who's in the booth? Vishwanath, okay. I was thinking, he was pretty quick on that. I think you should give scores to those in the booth, and we can have like an Olympics of. Do you all know this song? Do any of you do Bharatanatyam? Know Bharatanatyam dancing? Any of the mudras that go along? We need Jai Keshava back. He once did it for us. Okay, so let's sing this beautiful song written by Jayadev Goswami, which was the introduction to his Gita Govinda, which is about the amorous pastimes between Radha and Krishna. But he gave this introduction so that we can understand the greatness of Krishna and his all-pervading power and all the incarnations that come to this world that emanate from him. Pralaya payobdi jale dritavan asivedam vihita vahitra charitramakedam keshavadrita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Pralayapa Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare all together. Shitiriha vipulatare tishtati tava prishte Dharani dharana kina chakra garishte Keshavadrita kurma sharira Jai Jagatisha Hare Jaya Jagatisha Hare Jaya Jagatisha Hare Vasati Dashana Shikare Dharani Tavalagna Shashanika Lanka Kaleva Nimagna Keshavadrita Shukara Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamadhuta Shringa Dalitairanyakashi Putanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Chalayasi Vikramane Balimadhuta Vamana Paranaka Nirajanita Janapavana Keshavadrita Vamanarupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Kshatriya Rudhira Maye Jagarapagata Papam Snapayasi Payasi Shamita Bhavatapam Keshavadrita Brigupati Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vitarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukha Mauli Balim Ramaniya Keshavadrita Rama Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vahasiva Pushi Vishare Vasana Jaladava Halahati Bhiti Milita Yamunabam Keshavadrita Haladara Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Nindasi Yagya Vidheraha Shuti Jata Sadaya Ridaya Darshita Pashugatam Keshavadrita Buddha Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Mlechani Vahani Dhane Kalayasi Karavalam Duma Ketumiva Kimapi Karalam Keshavadrita Kalki Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Shri Jaya Deva Kave Idamuritam Udaram Shinusukadam Shubhadam Bhavasharam Keshavadrita Dashvidarupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vejam udarate jaganti vahate Bhugolam budbibrate Daityam darayate balim chalayate Shatrashayam kurvate Kalasyam jayate halam kalayate Karunyamatanvate Mechan murchayate dasha kriti krite Krishnaya tubhyam namah. Dashavatar Stotram Ki Jai. We're here remembering Krishna. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. So this should be an easy thing. Krishna says, just remember me. Think of me all the time. So, primary way to think of Krishna is to hear about him. And those, all of you devotees, Vaishnavas who have come here tonight, you are perfectly executing this suggestion by Krishna to think of him. And you're doing it in the way that is most recommended by the Shastra. Just simply sit and hear. Let the sound vibration go in. The sound is coming from the parampara. Through the disciplic succession, the sound vibration is passed down. Miraculously, we have these scriptures, originally Sanskrit, and some of them in other languages like Bengali, all perfectly translated into English, so forth, so we can discuss them in a common way, on a common level, and hear about the names, the forms, the pastimes of Krishna. So in this way, we use our time, and in that process, the sound vibration purifies the heart. So we're counting down the days until Janmashtami, which is on Saturday. Midnight is the time in which Krishna makes his advent. And from Mathura, he goes over to Gokula and joins with his foster family, Nanda and Yashoda. And he performs his pastimes. On this very planet, Krishna appears. And he comes especially to attract the minds of the devotees and to support the devotees here in this material world. He says in the Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. That he comes again and again, millennium after millennium, simply to support his devotees and to push down the demonic influence. So we're very fortunate to be connected to this process of devotional service and counting down the days until Janmashtami. And all around us we can hear devotees working, some working in the kitchen. We see here some construction going on. Just tomorrow we have some beautiful custom-made gates. Where the temple should have gates so that we can close them. You can still see the deities, have darshan. The deities need to be protected all the time. And beautiful gates were handmade, custom made in India and shipped here. We just had them painted. And now we have the very small task of putting them up. And that apparently, if everything goes okay, it's going to happen tomorrow. And I think there's some fans coming in too, because although we have an excellent air conditioning system, it doesn't always handle 10,000 people very. Last year we had about 8,000 people come for Janmashtami. We fit them all here in this one room too. 8,000. We had to ask him to scrunch. Really. So the fans will be here. And devotees are working diligently in many different services just to get ready to glorify Krishna on the Janmashtami day. So we're continuing with our yajna to keep the sound vibration going. And here's one that's very powerful, number 59. Krishna gives salvation to the enemies that he kills. Another name for salvation is apavarga. Apavarga is the opposite of pavarga, or the various miserable conditions of material existence. The word pavarga indicates the combination of 5 Sanskrit letters, pa, pa, and ma. These letters are the first letters of the words for 5 different conditions as described below. The first letter, pa, comes from the word parabhava, which means defeat. In this material struggle for existence, we are simply meeting defeat. Actually, we have to conquer birth, death, disease, and old age, and because there is no possibility of overcoming all these miserable conditions, due to the illusion of Maya, we are simply meeting with parabhava, or defeat. The next letter, pa, is taken from the word pena. Pena is the foam which is found on the mouth when one is very tired, as is commonly observed with horses. The letter ba comes from the word banda, or bondage. Bha is taken from the word piti, or fearfulness. Ma is taken from the word mriti, or death. So the word pavarga signifies our struggle for existence in our meeting with defeat, exhaustion, bondage, fearfulness, and at last, death. Apavarga means that which can nullify all these material conditions. Krishna is said to be the giver of apavarga, the path of liberation. For the impersonalists and the enemies of Krishna, liberation means merging into the Supreme. The demons and the impersonalists do not care for Krishna, but Krishna is so kind that he gives this liberation even to his enemies and to the impersonalists. There is the following statement in this connection. O Murari, Krishna, how wonderful it is that although the demons, who were always envious of the demigods, have failed to penetrate your military phalanx, they have penetrated the region of Mitra, the sun globe. The word Mitra is used metaphorically. Mitra means the sun globe, and Mitra also means friend. The demons who opposed Krishna as enemies wanted to penetrate his military phalanx, but instead of doing this, they died in battle, and the result was that they penetrated the planet of Mitra, or the sun planet. In other words, they entered into the Brahman effulgence. The example of the sun planet is given here because the sun is ever illuminating like the spiritual sky, where there are innumerable illuminating Vaikuntha planets. The enemies of Krishna were killed, and instead of penetrating Krishna's phalanx, they entered into the friendly atmosphere of the spiritual effulgence. This is the mercy of Krishna, and therefore he is known as the deliverer of his enemies also. 60. The attractor of liberated souls. There are many examples of how Krishna attracted even great liberated souls like Shukadeva Goswami and the Kumaras. In this connection, the following statement was given by the Kumaras. How wonderful it is that although we are completely liberated, free from desire and situated at the stage of Paramahamsa, we are still aspiring to taste the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. 61. Performer of wonderful activities. In the Brihat Vamana Purana, the Lord says, although I have many fascinating pastimes, whenever I think of the Rasa Lila which I perform with the gopis, I become eager to have it again. One devotee has said, I know about Narayan, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and I also know about many other incarnations of the Lord. Certainly, all the pastimes of such incarnations are exciting to my mind, but still the pastimes of the Rasa Lila performed by Lord Krishna himself are wonderfully increasing my transcendental pleasure. 62. Krishna is surrounded by loving devotees. When we speak of Krishna, Krishna is not alone. Krishna means his name, his qualities, his fame, his friends, his paraphernalia, his entourage. All of these are included. When we speak of a king, it is to be understood that he is surrounded by ministers, secretaries, military commanders, and many other people. Similarly, Krishna is not impersonal. In his Vrindavan Leela especially, he is surrounded by the gopis, the cowherd boys, his father, his mother, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. In the 10th canto, 31st chapter, verse 15 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis lament, "My dear Krishna, during the daytime you go out into the forest of Vrindavan with your cows. We consider one moment to be like 12 years, and it is very difficult for us to pass the time. And again, when you come back at the end of the day, by seeing your beautiful face, we are so much attracted that we are unable to stop looking upon you constantly. At these times, when there is occasional blinking of our eyelids, we condemn the Creator, Lord Brahma, as a dunce, because he does not know how to make perfect eyes." In other words, the gopis were disturbed by the blinking of their eyes, because for the moment that their eyes were closed, they could not see Krishna. This means that the gopis' love for Krishna was so great and ecstatic that they were disturbed by even his momentary absence. And when they saw Krishna, they were also disturbed. This is a paradox. One gopi, expressing herself to Krishna, says, "When we meet you at night, we consider the duration of night to be very small. And why speak of only this night? Even if we had a night of Brahma, we would consider it a very short time." We get an idea of Brahma's day from the following statement of Bhagavad Gita 8:17. By human calculation, 1,000 yuga cycles taken together is Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. The gopis said that even if they could have the duration of night, that duration of night, it would still not be sufficient for their meeting with Krishna. 63. Krishna's attractive flute. In the 10th canto, 35th chapter, verse 15 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis tell Mother Yashoda, "When your son plays on his flute, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Indra, although they are supposed to be the greatest learned scholars and personalities, all become bewildered. Although they are very great personalities, by hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, they humbly bow down and become grave from studying the sound vibrated." In his book, Vidagdha Madhava, Srila Rupa Goswami thus describes the vibration of Krishna's flute. The sound vibration created by the flute of Krishna wonderfully stopped Lord Shiva from playing his dindim drum. And the same flute has caused great sages like the four Kumaras to become disturbed in their meditation. It has caused Lord Brahma, who is sitting on the lotus flower for the creative function, to become astonished, and Anantadev, who was calmly holding all the planets on his hood, was moving in this way and that due to the transcendental vibration from Krishna's flute, which penetrated through the covering of this universe and reached to the spiritual sky. In one section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada describes how the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is also a manifestation of the sound of Krishna's flute. So when you're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, you're coming in contact with the vibration of Krishna's flute coming from the spiritual world. That sound, we should keep that vibration of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 16 words, 32 syllables, going in our life as much as possible. Because it is by the power of the holy name that we actually become advanced, elevated, and stay in contact with Krishna. So a very simple process, actually. If you just chant Hare Krishna, sometimes people say, just chant Hare Krishna. What is the solution? And if you go out of here and somebody says, what was the class about? You say. And if someone said, I just stubbed my toe, you say. That's right. Just chant Hare Krishna. You got to say it with a little attitude, though. Just chant Hare Krishna. There you go. Just chant Hare Krishna. So just chanting Hare Krishna is more than a just. It's everything. The whole spiritual world is available to those who stay in contact with Krishna's holy name. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalaunas devanas devanas deva gatiranyata. This verse from the Brihat Naradiya Purana was quoted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his spiritual master, Ishvarapuri. When he gave him the holy name, he received it from his spiritual master. Spiritual master told him that there's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name. In this Kali Yuga, this is the process, special dispensation. So constantly chanting the holy name after the way of the great souls is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all. Just chant Hare Krishna. And here comes quality number 64, Krishna's exquisite beauty. Are you ready? So over the last 3 days, some by conference call, and then tonight we're finishing the last third of this section from the Nectar of Devotion. We've read from the very beginning all of Krishna's various qualities. And how many are there listed in the Nectar of Devotion? 64. And the last 4 are particularly noted because they're unique to Krishna. And this last is his beauty. Krishna's exquisite beauty. In the 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, verse 12 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhava tells Vidura, "My dear sir, Krishna's form was most wonderful when he appeared on this planet and exhibited the potency of his internal energy. His wonderfully attractive form was present during his pastime on this planet, and by his internal potency exhibited his opulences, which are striking to everyone. His personal beauty was so great that there was no necessity for his wearing ornaments on his body. In fact, instead of the ornaments beautifying Krishna, Krishna's beauty enhanced the ornaments." Mukharvin, can you get me that, please? 3:12. 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, 3-12. We have to hear that verse. It's very beautiful. Krishna wears ornaments. The ornaments become more attractive instead of them enhancing the body of Krishna. Regarding the attractiveness of Krishna's bodily beauty and the sound vibration of his flute, in the 10th canto, 29th chapter, verse 40 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis address Krishna as follows: "Although our attitude towards you resembles loving affairs with a paramour, we cannot but wonder at how no woman can maintain her chastity upon hearing the vibration from your flute. And not only women, but even strong-hearted men are subject to falling down from their position at the sound of your flute. In fact, we have seen that in Vrindavan, even the cows, the deer, the birds, the trees, everyone has been enchanted by the sweet vibration of your flute and fascinating beauty of your person." In Rupa Goswami's Lalita Madhava, it is said, "One day Krishna happened to see the shadow of his beautiful form reflected on the jeweled foreground. Upon seeing this bodily reflection, he expressed his feelings. 'How wonderful it is that I have never seen such a beautiful form. Although it is my own form, still, like Radharani, I am trying to embrace this form to enjoy celestial bliss.'" This statement shows how Krishna and his shadow reflection are one and the same. There is no difference between Krishna and his shadow reflection, nor between Krishna and his picture. That is the transcendental position of Krishna. The above statements describe some of the wonderful reservoirs of pleasure within Krishna, as well as the transcendental qualities of his personality. The transcendental qualities of Krishna are compared to the ocean. No one can estimate the length and breadth of the ocean, but as one can understand the ocean's contents simply by testing one drop of it, so these statements will give us some understanding of Krishna's transcendental position and qualities. In the 10th canto, 40th chapter, verse 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, "My dear Lord, the inconceivable qualities, beauties, and activities which you have revealed by your presence on this planet cannot be calculated by any material measurement." Yeah, we'll take that one too. Please, thank you. If one even tries to imagine Krishna may be like this, that is also impossible. The day may come when the material scientist, after many, many births, or after many, many years, will be able to estimate the atomic constitution of the whole world. Or he may be able to count the atomic fragments that permeate the sky. Or he may even be able to estimate all the atoms within the universe. But still, he will never be able to count the transcendental qualities of your reservoir of transcendental bliss. That's a yajna. We just finished a little yajna. We heard the 64 qualities of Krishna. You feel better? Okay. We have a lot of books. We come from a tradition of literature. Some philosophical systems or religious traditions, they have one book or a couple books. We have many, many books. Such great scholars who have composed so many prayers also. Srimad Bhagavatam, this is a famous verse. This is 3.2.12. Yanmartya lilo payikam soyoga maya balam darshayata grihitam vishmapanam swasya chaso bagharde param param bhushana bhushanangam. Yanmartya lilao payikam swayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam Bismapanam swasya chasau bhagardehe param padam bhushana bhushanangam Yanmartya lilao payikam swayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam Vismapanam swasya chasau bhagarde param padam bhushana bhushanangam Yanmartya lilao payikam swayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam Vismapanam swasya chaso bhagarde param padam bhushana bhushanangam Yanmartya lilo payikam swayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam Vismapanam swasya chaso bhagarde param param bhushana bhushanangam Yanmartya lilao payikam sayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam Vismapanam swasya chaso bhagarde param padam bhushana bhushanangam
Lilo payikam swayoga
Yanmartya lilo payikam swayoga
Maya balam darshayata grihitam
Maya balam darshayata grihitam
Vismapanam swasya cha saubhagardhe
Vismapanam swasya cha saubhagardhe
Param padam bhushana bhushanangam
Param padam bhushana bhushanangam
Yanmartya lila nupayitam swayoga
Yanmartya lila payikam swayoga
Maya balam darsayata grihitam
Maya balam darshayata grihitam
Vismapanam swasya cha saubhagarde
Vismapanam swasya cha saubhagarde
Param padam bhushana bhusanangam
Param padam bhushana bhushanangam
Yanmartya lilao paikam swayoga
Yanmartya lilo payikam swayoga
Maya balam darshayata grihitam
Maya balam darshayata grihitam
Vishmapanam swasya cha saubhagardehe
Vismarpanam swasya cha saubhagarde
Param padam bhushana bhushanangam
Param padam bhushana bhushanangam Yat, his eternal form which? Martya, mortal world. Lila upayikam, just suitable for the pastimes. Swayoga Maya Balam, potency of the internal energy. Darshayata, for manifestation. Grihitam, discovered. Vismapanam, wonderful. Swasya, of his own. Cha, and. Saubhaga Hridehe, of the opulent. Param, supreme. Padam, ultimate stand. Bhushana, ornament. Bhushana Angam, of the ornaments. Translation. The Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus he, Sri Krishna's transcendental body, is the ornament of all ornaments. Purport. In conformity with the Vedic hymns, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam, the personality of Godhead is more excellent than all other living beings within all the universes in the material world. He is the chief of all living entities. No one can surpass him or be equal to him in wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, or renunciation. When Lord Krishna was within this universe, he seemed to be a human being because he appeared in a manner just suitable for his pastimes in the mortal world. He did not appear in human society in his Vaikuntha feature with 4 hands, because that would have not been suitable for his pastimes. But in spite of his appearing as a human being, no one was or is equal to him in any respect in any of the 6 different opulences. Everyone is more or less proud of his opulence in this world, but when Lord Krishna was in human society, he excelled all his contemporaries within the universe. When the Lord's pastimes are visible to the human eye, they are called prakat. And when they are not visible, they are called aprakat. In fact, the Lord's pastimes never stop, just as the sun never leaves the sky. The sun is always in its right orbit in the sky, but it is sometimes visible and sometimes invisible to our limited vision. Similarly, the pastimes of the Lord are always current in one universe or another. And when Lord Krishna disappeared from the transcendental abode of Dwarka, it was simply a disappearance from the eyes of the people there. It should not be misunderstood that his transcendental body, which was just suitable for the pastimes in the mortal world, is in any way inferior to his different expansions in the Vaikuntha lokas. His body manifested in the material world is transcendental par excellence, in the sense that his pastimes in the mortal world excel his mercy displayed in that of the Vaikuntha lokas. In the Vaikuntha lokas, the Lord is merciful toward the liberated or nitya mukta living entities, but in his pastimes in the mortal world, he is merciful even to the fallen souls who are nitya baddha, or conditioned forever. The 6 excellent opulences which he displayed in the mortal world by the agency of his internal potency, Yogamaya, are rare even in the Vaikuntha lokas. All his pastimes were manifested not only by the material energy, but by his spiritual energy. Need a nectar of instruction, please. The excellence of his Rasa Leela at Vrindavan and his householder life with 16,000 wives is wonderful even for Narayan in Vaikuntha, and is certainly so for other living entities within this mortal world. His pastimes are wonderful even for other incarnations of the Lord, such as Sri Ram, Nrsimha, and Varaha. His opulence was so super excellent that his pastimes were adored even by the Lord of Vaikuntha, who is not different from Lord Krishna himself. It's nice, right? Just to keep hearing and chanting? We can do whatever we want, right? What verse am I thinking of in the Nectar of Instruction? Please. What? Tell me what I'm thinking. Which verse is in my mind?
Okay, something. It goes something like this: superior to the planets of Vaikuntha is the
that's
land
the
of
verse I'm
Mathura.
thinking of. Vaikuntaj Janito Vara Marupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad Vrindaranya Mudari Pani Ramana Tatrapi Govardhanaha Radha Kundamihapi Gokula Pater Primamra Tap Lavanat Kuryaras Virajato Giritite Sevam Viveki Nakaha. This verse, I was reminded of this verse because in the purport it's mentioned that the Lord, his appearance in this material world is even more special because Prabhupada says he caters to the liberated souls. But here he comes and he avails himself to the most fallen and so forth. So there's a section in this verse in the Nectar of Instruction in which it's described the various gradations, one better than the other. This is the Nectar of Instruction, verse number 9. It says, the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, this transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. That's what caught my attention, that first sentence. I always like that. It says, the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radhakund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radhakund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? You want to hear the purport? The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared in Mathura. The interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadashavan. Thus, the Talavan, Madhuvan, and Bahulavan, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura. But superior to these forests is the divine Govardhan Hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Vraja, from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends to cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radhakund is at the foot of Govardhan. Radhakund at the foot of Govardhan is superior to all because it is there that love for Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radhakund because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani, Rati Vilas. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Rajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakund. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Radhakund. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees headed by the 6 Goswamis, such as Rupa and Raghunath Das. Presently, there is a large lake known as Radhakund there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by any other Vaishnav, by the other Vaishnav Sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radhakund. Thus, Radhakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Talking about Krishna's transcendental qualities, anything so far that has struck you? Yes, Harivamsha.
Actually, thank you for a wonderful class. I was just listening and meditating that so beautiful qualities, everything is exchange, it's rasa, relationships, and any very sane and intelligent person can understand that impersonalism is so boring. And this happened to us in Google today, that an Iranian couple comes and there was a discussion about the Raso Varjam Raso Pyasya verse. And we explained about impersonalism. They said, but just being situated there and doing nothing, that's so boring. Why would you do that? So it's very, I mean, if one looks with an objective view, it's really boring. And then we explained about spiritual world and Vaikuntha planets and this. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, that there is relationships there. So and Rupa Goswami has given such an elaborate on the whole science of rasa and relationships. So we are really so fortunate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice point. Thank you.
Maharaj, the point you mentioned about Mashuchaha, that's very reassuring, those two words, where he's saying so assuringly, that do not worry.
Don't worry.
Yeah. I had one question also on this previous verse which we read.
Okay.
There is one phrase like Nitya Baddha, so that was a bit intriguing. Like Nitya Mukta, I know that they never fall down. Nitya Baddha is kind of scary, that they never get liberated, or what it means?
No,
like,
it's
but I thought people get fall down and again they have a chance to get liberated, but Nitya world actually sounds...
When we use, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this in the Jaiva Dharma. He describes how when you're discussing using language that is restricted to the realm of governed by time, and you're describing events which are not governed by time, then you're going to necessarily fall short in being able to give accurate description. Nonetheless, Prabhupada, that doesn't mean that there's no attempt to do that. There is, but then there may be some extra explanation that's needed. And there is a way in which Prabhupada describes how one is considered nitya baddha. Babaji. that the nitya baddhas, when they become liberated either by sadhana or they become liberated by the mercy of the devotees, then they become situated amongst the liberated, and they're no longer considered nitya baddhas. They're considered liberated souls. And Prabhupada also describes that this means siddha, you become perfect. So there's sadhana siddhas, there are siddhas who become liberated because of mercy, and then there are eternally liberated souls. But Prabhupada says there's no differentiation once you become siddha. Siddha is siddha. Doesn't matter how you became siddha. Kripa siddha, sadhana siddha, nitya siddha, all are siddha. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur does try to, he doesn't try, he gives some description of the idea, and so does Prabhupada when he's asked about how it is that the living entity is considered nitya baddha, the whole topic of the fall of the jiva and so forth. At the end of the discussion, which I won't go into, about the fall of the jiva and how the jiva got in the material world, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that one will realize, he said, don't ask about this question. He said, I've given you an abhas, just an indication, a summary of it, brief summary. Well, summary is brief. I've given you a summary of this topic, he said, it's to be realized by chit samadhi. Chit samadhi means when you actually become situated in knowledge which descends from the spiritual platform, as I described earlier, you'll become aware of your existential condition. But trying to view an eternal event or something that is from beyond the realm of time, from the framework of the intelligence which is governed by time, that you'll continually fall short. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I thank you for this opportunity to listen to you and your glorifying words of our beloved Sri Krishna.
We're trying.
Right from infancy, I've been just, attracted by his Atma. So in the Bhagavad Gita, that Sri Krishna talks about Manmana Bhava, as you said, Atmanam Matparayanaha, Atmanye Vatmana Tushtaha, Sita Prajnaha Tatsochete. So at various points or positions of feeling of Arjuna and his awareness of the greatness of the Lord, he really elevates his consciousness by talking about the prabhava of his Atma. So we would be very delighted to listen to you as to how you visualize the colorful personality of Sri Krishna brought through by his Atma and Atmic qualities. Would you have some time?
Well, Krishna and his Atma are the same, of course, because there's no difference between Krishna's transcendental body and himself. I'm different from, I as an Atma am different from this body, which is a biomachine, which it runs on biofuel. But I, on the other hand, am a non-material particle that actually never mixes with the body. But Krishna's Atma and Krishna himself are the same, no difference. His body is completely transcendental. Some indication of that when he performs his various pastimes. For instance, sometimes he talks through his eyes. This is another feature of Krishna's transcendental body. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. Ananda chinmaya sadhu jwala vigrahasya govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Krishna's bodily limbs are interchangeable. So in the Vraj, when Krishna goes out with his friends to herd the cows, there's a fire, and the boys who are surrounding Krishna are very afraid for the cows. And fires are very scary. They come up so quickly and they can devour everything. They call out to Krishna, please save us, because he's their only refuge. Krishna spoke to them through his eyes. From his eyes he spoke to them. And then he had them all close their eyes, and then he swallowed the forest fire. Just swallowed the whole thing. Another time when Krishna came to Mathura, he left Vrindavan, he came to Mathura, he was with some of his friends, and they swaggered into town, and they saw a man who was a dyer of cloth. And Krishna asked for some of the cloth, and the man rebuked him and said, this is meant for King Kamsa. You shouldn't ask this. And he said, next time you ask for the king's property, you're going to be punished. And so Krishna, with his hand, he chopped off his head. And then he told the boys, help yourself. Krishna and Balaram took all the nicest stuff. And they took the cloth, they wore it, these new clothes, they went through town and so forth. The many descriptions of Krishna's transcendental body, and here we're hearing about the beauty that it enhances even the ornaments that Krishna wears. So one can see the spiritual form of Krishna only with spiritual vision. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says, Premanjana chudita bhakti vilochanena santak sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That when one's eyes, he uses poetic language with the salve of love. If you can purchase that. Around Govardhan Hill, they have this Cetal pain balm. All these places, they sell different kinds of balms and tinctures. Cetal pain balm's a famous one. But everyone, they want to buy some kind of tincture in this world. They just rub this on. I think in Burlingame, I walked by this shop. They have a shop, and they sell cosmetics. The little jars of this and that. And there's so many different kinds of little creams and ornaments, creams and ointments that people buy. It's billions of dollars. There's one in Palo Alto we go by. It's called Infinite Beauty. What's it called? Infinite Beauty? Infinite Beauty. Yeah, you can buy a little tincture. But the real thing is this salve of prema. A little prema in the eyes. Then you can actually see Krishna's form, as Shamasundar. See his spiritual form. Otherwise, in this world, Krishna avails himself, his beautiful form, through the archa. Archa vigraha means the deity. Some people think, those with hellish consciousness think that the deity is made of stone or wood. But actually the deity is where Krishna manifests himself in this world. He describes this in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, how he manifests through the deity in this world. Srila Prabhupada gives an example of the post box, the United States Postal Service. If you're going to mail a letter, you have to put the United States postal stamp on it with the right amount, and you have to take it, and you can't put it in any box. You have to put it in the U.S. Postal Service box. It's authorized, and then it will be delivered. So in the same way, deity worship is also an authorized process that comes through the Pancharatriki Vidhi, the rules and regulations for worshiping the deity. It's established by Krishna himself. And when one approaches Krishna in that form, authorized form that he appears in this world, in metal, wood, paint, so forth, then that's the transcendental form, where the eternal, infinite meets the temporal. This is like the Dham also. In the Dham, like Vrindavan, people look around and they may see, oh, it's just a regular place. Same air, same dirt, and so forth. But actually, for those who have spiritual vision, Premanjana Chudita Bhakti Vilochene, they can see this is eternal Dham is being manifest here in this place where the eternal meets the temporal. So the eternal form of Krishna is, people can come and see the Lord's form. Are we going to have darshan? Or the curtains stay closed? They stay closed. Really? Okay. So we're not going to have that darshan tonight. But we have by hearing. And the mantra, as I mentioned the other night in the class, iti murtyabhidanena mantra murtim amurtikam yagya purusham sasamyag darshana puman. Narada Muni says that you can get the full darshan of Krishna through the mantra. So take shelter of the mantra and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Anybody here chant their Chad today? One chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Which chapter are you doing?
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6, that's a long chapter. One thing I've been doing at night is I have a recording of one of the chapters that I'm doing, and when I'm going to sleep at night, I just click it on right before I lie down. Then I can listen to it falling asleep, and the first thing when I wake up in the morning, I turn it back on to hear the chapter over again. It's nice to keep the vibration going. Chant a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. That's pretty ecstatic. Keshav Bharti Maharaj just finished his reading of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Give him a hand. He started last year. You can finish in 1 year if you read 41 pages a day. He did it without fail every day. 41 pages. You'll finish the whole Bhagavatam. And then he went on. So if you read 41 pages of the Gita every day, you'll finish it in 18 days. Only. So he's already at the end of the 6th chapter. Only 41 pages a day of the Gita. It's not much to ask. Going on hearing and regulating the way you hear in the mantras, doing your Maha Mantra every day, especially the japa mala. If you take your mala and you find a quiet place where you can sit and repeat Krishna's names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. This is the main sadhana, this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and it leads to the sadhya, the goal. It'll awaken a love for Krishna within the heart. The reason we also have this Panchatrik Vidhi, according to our acharyas, although it's sufficient just by chanting Hare Krishna, you can attain the goal. It's very difficult to keep the mind pure and controlled without having deity worship as well. So we have a system for staying purified so you can continue to chant Hare Krishna throughout your life. It's always a shame when somebody takes a break from the process of devotional service. They always feel it too later. When it's like, why did I do that? Why did I waste any time? It's a good plan to organize your life around the principle of continuously doing devotional service throughout your life and making incremental advancement as you go, so that you can come to a grand crescendo near the end of your life. Of course, you don't know when that will be, but just assuming the actuary tables are fairly accurate in your case, you can see how much time you might have left. Subtract all the time that you sleep and do any other kind of thing that tends to be without much consciousness. And then you can see a little bit how much time you might have left. But it's not so easy just to jump in at any time. A steady approach over one's lifetime, and trying to take advantage at every moment of good association can bring one to higher and higher levels of advanced devotional service. And if one can actually get a taste for hearing and chanting, that is a very strong taste, almost like a greed. This is the price for advancing in devotional service. It's like when you get really hungry and you're starving and you really want to eat. You ever feel like that? In fact, bodybuilders, they talk about this. You should only eat when you're hungry. They look forward to hunger. They say, don't eat at night. So you should look forward to waking up in the morning hungry. So your metabolism is operating at a high level. And similarly, we should organize our lives in a certain way so that we're hungry to hear about Krishna. That kind of hunger, that kind of was described as lobha or greed, lolium. Greed for hearing about Krishna, for chanting Krishna's names. If you can get that kind of hunger, that's advancement in devotional service. That's what it means to be advanced in Krishna consciousness. And Rupa Goswami says, Krishna bhakti rasa bhavito mati kriyatam yadi kritopi labhyate tata lolyam api mulyam ekalam jamakoti sukatir nalabhyate. You can try otherwise for millions of lifetimes doing all kinds of pious work, but you won't get any bhakti. But if you can get this greed by associating with devotees who have it, and you can develop this intense hunger for hearing about Krishna, that's the price to pay for advancing in devotional service. Also, that if this devotional service is available somewhere in the marketplace, go get it now. Don't wait. Don't wait till tomorrow or anything. You should run, don't walk, but get there as quickly as you possibly can. Confirm you. So, we'll take this opportunity for the Sri Krishna Janmashtami to, everyone can take permission to continually hear and chant until we get to Krishna Janmashtami, and then all day long we'll hear. We won't stop for anything. We'll just hear and chant all day long. We don't even have to eat on that day. We have permission, no eating. Just go on hearing and chanting. It's the most wonderful experience one can have. And leading up to the evening time, hopefully a few guests will come that we can get ready for them now. It's an amazing time in history. Here we are in the middle of California, which used to be wilderness not too long ago. It changed hands a few times. It used to belong to the indigenous people here. There were different tribes of Indians that lived here. Europeans came. This was part of Mexico. There was a Bear Flag Revolution. Let's see if I can remember my history from... Anyway, there's a lot of changing hands. And here we are, all of a sudden in the middle of a technical revolution, and there's such a mix of culture here in the Silicon Valley, and here we have a temple of Radha and Krishna right in the middle of it all, and that's by design. That's Krishna's come and he's sitting down in this place, specifically, as we heard in the Bhagavatam, to give mercy to people in this world. So we'll take advantage of that on Janmashtami, a day when everyone becomes jubilant, and they'll come to the temple. We'll hear and chant all day long, and then the next day will be a celebration of the appearance of Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who just happened to that very next day. So we always celebrate right after that. And then because it's a holiday weekend, I understand, Monday's a holiday, right? So then we'll also take that day, and Sunday will be a day to that we can glorify Srila Prabhupada, and then we'll have readings from the Vyasa Puja book and some talks, and then Monday between 1 and 4, devotees who want to come and glorify Prabhupada some more can come and offer their Vyasa Puja offerings to Srila Prabhupada. We did that last year. And also Giriraj Swami is coming. He'll be arriving here tomorrow. So I think he's coming to the Bay Area tomorrow, Thursday night. And then he'll be staying all the way through Monday, probably till Tuesday. He especially liked it when we had all those glorifications by second generations. So we'll have all that coming up this weekend. What could be better, right? Okay. So we're going to have a little kirtan because, yes, and we have some texts that have come in.
So Maharaj, we have a text from Jadu Thakur Das.
Jadu Thakur. Wow.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for this lovely class. I'm very much appreciating the Govinda Geet that you sang.
Appreciating what?
The Dashavtar Shota.
Oh, you like the Dashavtar Stotram? I'll have to remember that. Yeah, he has a taste. Jadu Thakur. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Nilatam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Go Premanande. Let's hear it for the kartal players, for the Hare Krishna singers, for the Hare Krishna dancer. Go Premanande. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Param Acharya Stotaras Shishi Mada Bhai Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivradika Acharya Stotaras Shishi Mada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakahoshi Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Bhaktivinoda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Thanks for coming out, everyone, and thanks for joining us online tonight. And we'll see you all tomorrow night in San Bruno. We'll have a kirtan over in San Bruno. Everyone's invited. Come on down. And then back here on Saturday morning, we'll be here at 4:27 for the Artik to start. And we have some handouts. Here's flyers. Everyone can take, wow, these are beautiful flyers. Who made the flyer? All right. Nice. Wonderful flyers. So everyone take as many flyers as you think you can distribute somewhere, and you can pass them out. Take them right here, and you can take them away and invite all your friends. Also, there's a small digital flyer that we send around, and you can replace on your Facebook page the existing banner that you have, header for your Facebook, and you can put the flyer in instead. And that way get the word out to as many people as possible. Best to do it tonight, probably, to give everyone a few days to know what's going on. Okay. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Vancha kalpatarvascha kripasnabheva cha patitanam bhavibhyo vaishnavibhyo